Here's the short history of me. Born in 1961, went to high school. I went to one university for a semester, American University in Washington, D.C. Didn't like it, knew I couldn't afford 4 years of student loan. Didn't want to hang out with people who were enraptured by Stroh's beer and marijuana. This wasn't going to be for me. So I hit the streets and pursued the minimum wage jobs that I'd had all through high school. And that was, for me, that was me in the late 70s. The last straight job I had was 1981. Head manager of a Häagen Dazs in Georgetown in Washington, D.C. on Wisconsin Avenue at the intersection of Wisconsin and O Street, making $3.75 an hour, $4 an hour, something like that. Working 40 to 60 hours a week. I had a small apartment which I shared with an old pal of mine. I had a small record collection, an ailing VW automobile, and a little tiny life with my minimum wage job, which I liked. And I looked at my life and realized this is probably about as good as it's going to get for me. I might quit this place and go work at my friend's record store because I liked being around records, and I could probably run his store very well, knowing what I knew about retail at that point. And then I got a very lucky break, because at that same time I was very frustrated. I said, well, this is going to be a very tough life. It's going to be a life of a lot of standing on my feet, a lot of work, taking it from other people, and having very little to show for it by Friday evening. And then Black Flag, the famous band, who was friends of mine, they played in New York. I was in Washington. I took a ride up to go see them because they weren't coming down to my town. I jumped on stage and sang with them that night a song because I had to go back down to D.C. and go work like some awful shift. They called me a few days later at the ice cream store and said, we're looking for a singer because the rhythm guitar player wants to, the vocalist wants to move down to rhythm guitar. You can tell I've told the story before. And we're holding auditions. Do you want to crack at this? Because we saw you on stage the other night. You're pretty wild. I looked at the ice cream scoop in my hand, my chocolate bespattered apron, and my future in the world of minimum wage work. Or I could go up to New York and audition for this crazy band who was my favorite. What's the worst that's going to happen to me? I miss a day of work. Ooh, there goes $21. And I get humiliated in front of my favorite band. Yeah, humiliation and young people kind of go together. I was used to it. And so I took a train up there. I walked into this practice place in the East Village. I'm standing there with the band with a microphone in my hand. They said, pick the tune. And I sang every song they had, improvising most of it. 2 times through, we did the set. They said, okay, you have a seat. We're going to go have a band meeting, whatever that means. And they came back like 10 minutes later and said, okay, you're in. I said, what do you mean? They said, you're the singer in Black Flag. I said, so what do? They go, you quit your job, you pack your gear, you meet us on the road. Here's the tour itinerary, here's the lyrics. We'll see you soon. So, fairly numb, I went back down to Washington with this passel of lyrics in my hand. Went to my boss and said, I'm not exactly quitting, but here's this thing that happened. And he said, it's your shot. I said, yeah. He said, take it. And that was late July 1981, about 30 some years ago. And that's what happened to me. I won the lottery. And I was in this band, Black Flag, for years, made a lot of records, played a lot of shows, learned a lot, started writing, started a publishing company in that time. And in the 80s, Hollywood directors started coming to me like, you're crazy. Can you act? I'm like, yeah, I'm starving. Can you pay? I mean, I'm looking for work. And never forgetting what I have to go back to. $8, Häagen Dazs. So I said yes to every acting job, yes to every audition, worked on my little publishing company, started doing poetry readings and speaking dates. In the 90s, want to do a voiceover? Yeah. And so I said yes to everything, worked like a crazy man, realizing guys like me fail most of the time. So I was around a lot of great bands, and rarely did they get over the wall. People much more talented than I'll ever be. I don't have talent, I have tenacity. I have discipline, I have focus, and I know without any illusion where I come from and what I can go back to. And that's why I said a while ago, in the 80s, I saw what was happening with money. I was watching it shift very quickly. I was watching the middle class go away. And I was a 23-year-old maniac, but I got it. And that's when I realized you better get plan B, C, D, E, F, and G. Otherwise, you're going to starve to death in the America. The America is not a place you live in. It's a video game that you survive. You know, I'm not only an American, I'm an Americanist. I survive America in spite of what it wants to do to people like me. And so, through saying yes to everything, realizing people like me have to write it 3 times when other people have to write it once, that I have to show up early because I'll probably get lost on the way to the location, and that I should probably watch, shut up, and learn rather than shoot my mouth off. I am where I am right now, which is a vastly different position than I was 30 years ago, 20 years ago, and 10 years ago. So it is basically a story of a lot of luck, but taking advantage of opportunity, working really damn hard, knowing there was no choice for me but to work really hard. And that's it. And that's not a unique story. What was unique is I got to be in my favorite band. Like, they came to me and said, hey, we're auditioning people. I was like, because had they not plucked me out of Washington, D.C., a great town, what would have happened to me? Probably would have gone to work for my friend's record store, which would have eventually folded, which it went away. And then what I would have done, I don't know, maybe gotten some female pregnant and been a young dad. I don't know. You know, the America would have happened to me. And so I got a lucky break, but at least I did something with it. The repeating factors of my life have been application, discipline, focus, repetition. You know, a gig. What are you doing tomorrow? 8 o'clock on stage. What are you doing the night after? I'll be on stage. What about 2 months from now? I'll be still on that same tour because I manage myself. I know where I'm going. I might not finish it. I might not survive it, but I'm the one booking it.